Hey y'all, and welcome to the latest episode of Code Brew. I'm Joe King, and I'm here with my co-host Lukewarm.
Hey everybody.
And we've got a more serious episode for you today. With intention, I've talked about between the two of us, we've talked about confronting violence against healthcare workers on the podcast, and we decided today is going to be the day. So I guess I want to give like a trigger warning, right? It's going to be sensitive in nature. It's not going to be, I don't have any intention of talk about violent acts in detail, but, this could be triggering for some of you that have, been attacked in the past, which unfortunately we'll get into. It looks like a lot of us, 1 in 4, but, so I will go over our typical disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on Code Brew are solely those of the host and do not represent the views of our employers, professional organizations, or any personal or professional affiliates. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. So now that we have that out of the way, let's kind of get into the nuts and bolts of this. Why are we doing this now? And I'm sure Luke has lots to say about it as well, but I think it's really pervasive in the news right now. I feel
like it's all I've been seeing in the news.
It does feel like that.
Yeah,
no,
like
sure.
It's just like social media post after post,
Right.
and then news article after news article, and then you send somebody something, and they send you 10 more things.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Crazy. Overseas, U.S.
It is
within our city.
It's everywhere.
Definitely something that we need to address. I think it's been going on for a while. We've normalized kind of violence in the healthcare system. I don't even think people put in
how that happened.
incident reports on it.
Right.
It's just kind of like, oh yeah, like he hits,
Yeah.
he throws his tray, and then like later when administration's going to like look for the data, like there's not even like a report, right? Because it's just like, oh well, they always do that, it is completely normalized in people's head. We need to unnormalize it.
Right. That's a culture problem from our standpoint.
About the thinking that it's almost okay if I go into work today and I get hit.
Right. Have you ever been hit at work?
Multiple times.
Yeah, same.
Like this year, last year, every year.
What about like verbal abuse? I feel like that's almost daily.
I was thinking daily.
Yeah.
Not
because
I can't think of an immediate.
It's still abuse.
Not within the past few weeks.
Yeah.
But
I can say yes within the past few weeks.
Yeah. But
sure. I can think of like one instance right now from this past weekend.
It's just such a so do I think I know administration looks at this data. I know they work with security. I know they work with like the ED and nurses. But I don't think that we do a good job of like putting the data in. So I don't think they even realize how big the problem is. So I think they know that there's a problem, but I don't think that they. Well, like if you look at our different like like we have like when people act out, like responses and codes that we call, like those don't match. Reports where employees have gotten hurt. Like none of it matches up.
Well, and it's not every single time that an employee gets hurt. So, but there's, I think the biggest thing.
Fair, but I'm just saying, like, there's just so many times where, like, we have an alert that we send off, saying someone is acting out, we need help, doctor, quick, whatever, in some organizations, and there's not like a incident report to match that, right? So we could say we had 100 of these month. We had 2 incident reports, and those weren't even the ones
right.
that we actually call
And then I
the
would say, and
response
then
team
our
on.
threshold to even call something like that is we basically wait until somebody gets physical.
Yeah,
We
oh,
feel physically
I feel
threatened.
like when I respond, they're like, "Well, I mean, this is like the 10th time he's thrown his
I mean,
tray."
he's like threatened everybody on the floor by this point,
Yeah,
and like is, obviously verbally assaulting, using profanity, screaming, has disrupted the
and
whole
we do,
floor at that
so
point,
like we do have so we are taught de-escalation skills. Um, like we do have, like we want to be proactive in our approaches.
Right. No, for sure.
So, but that seems like it's a newer thing that they're teaching people these skill sets. Like, hey, let's be proactive and let's get this like resource team there, and talk about what we can do and identifying these escalating behaviors and like, do we need to remove, like, is there a team member that is like triggering this patient? Like, are they really mad about something else? So they're saying they're mad about their tray being wrong, but really they're getting, they're having an amputation. They're out of control.
Right.
Whatever it is in the hospital setting. But it is hard. Like even when we have like this toolkit of stuff that we can utilize, implementing that, integrating it in a culture that has normalized behavior,
Yes.
and then is it enough? Like,
Right.
is it enough? Because
We're gonna like go into like what has already been implemented and what are we talking, what do we think would help? And I mean, there's so many different things to look at, as far as like tools and how we could further make things safer. Because I mean, it's we can easily say, okay, there's a problem. I mean, we're seeing nurses, physically injured to the point where they.
I mean, you limped in here today.
I did not live in here today. That is not true. No, but I mean, we are seeing.
I had to use the elevator to.
Well, you're older than me. You can't walk good.
Not fair.
We need to get you a cane.
I think about it every day.
So, I want to go over like some of the recent things that we've heard of, like
Yeah,
some of the
yeah,
things
go
that
for
to
it.
us, and actually, I did find some stuff out globally too. So,
Oh,
um,
it's a global issue.
I mean, it is a global issue, but so like first of all, Pennsylvania just here in 2025. So in the last few months, right? There was a gunman that entered the ICU, took the staff hostage. I think I heard that some people were zip tied. I mean, there's several reports that come out, so it's hard to know exactly what's true. But I mean, we do know that a police officer was responding and was fatally shot.
Was that I think 3 people. Were 3 people killed?
I think multiple people were shot. I
Oh,
think only one
okay.
person was killed, but I think there were 3 people shot. But
Insane though.
yeah, I mean this story is, I mean, this is our worst nightmare, right? So I mean these are real life cases. This actually happened. It's happened, just here in 2025 in the last few months.
So do we know, like, are they screening people when they come into the facility?
So I know in this case, like there was several security failures, and I don't want to go into details about that, but I think there were some things in place that didn't happen that should have, but at the same time, I think there was also, some policies like we need to look at how we can make hospitals safer in general. Because, if you're thinking about it, this kind of thing could happen anywhere. I mean, somebody could walk on the property with a gun. So, and unfortunately, we're seeing that happen. That is happening, across the globe and here in the U.S. And it.
Yeah, but the just the high intensity of, the healthcare environment
Mhm.
where, you might be angry or enraged about a family's diagnosed, I mean, like,
Right.
eh, and
It's
you
emotional.
yourself are not, mentally prepared to equip with that. While I know it happens everywhere, I think it's definitely amplified in the healthcare setting.
Well, it's such an emotional setting for so many reasons.
Coupled with, we have patients that are also not in their right mind
Right.
frequently,
For
uh,
a multitude of reasons.
for a sickness, whatever it is. Maybe that's their baseline. But, sometimes they're just off, based on their sickness. And it's that can be dangerous.
No,
Yeah.
100%. I agree. Um, so, what that story being so recent out of Pennsylvania, it's still developing. So we don't know, what kind of punishment this guy's going to face. I mean, I would think for sure he's going to be charged with murder, right? But as far as like how this is all going to develop, I think we're all going to be paying attention to how it develops in the news and from a court standpoint. But so looking kind of across the U.S. Down to the Southwest.
Well, so what does it mean though? Like, so isn't our state the have we made it a crime to?
We're gonna get into that.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna get into like what the punishment is in general, but it does vary a lot state by state. You make a great point. So in Arizona, just here in the last few months, still in 2025, a security guard was shot while protecting the staff in an ER. Um, so I think for me, the big thing is what we're seeing here in the U.S. is gun violence. I mean, we've seen gun violence escalating over the past couple decades at least. I mean definitely it started in the 90s primarily as far as like seeing an uptake. We see like think about school
It's
shootings,
been
that
my
kind of
whole
thing.
life, it feels like.
I mean, it does feel like that. I mean, I remember like as a child in the early 90s where we started seeing actually one of the first school shootings was, close to where I grew up in Pearl, Mississippi. Um like literally like right down the road. But so I mean, we are definitely seeing increases in gun violence. So it just feels like you see schools addressing it. You see a lot of other types of facilities addressing it. I mean, I just feel like it's probably time for hospitals to address it. But so looking at things from a global perspective, I found a pretty shocking statistic out of Australia. Actually, it was like focused in on Melbourne, which is a city in Australia. If people aren't familiar with Australia, so they have standardized codes, it seems like, and there's a code black in the hospitals in Melbourne, Australia, every 12.8 hours. And a code black means there's an immediate danger to the staff. So they're doing that basically once a shift, once every 13 hours, which is basically once a shift. And that's just in the city of Melbourne. That just feels like a super frequent thing. I mean, we're not, calling anything about a danger to staff.
But maybe we should. We've said we've normalized it
That's
here.
true.
So think about
I
how we've
agree.
grown up with gun violence and,
Yeah.
just get under your chair. It's
Well, it wasn't.
fine. Let's do these drills.
I mean,
Like,
we do. We had that in school.
this is America. What's that song? Uh,
Um, no, I mean, but
I'm kind of surprised that you didn't put the Florida woman that was attacked.
well, I could go on and on. There's so many cases.
But, so that was just an interesting perspective
I mean, if
because
we want to, like, I mean, we could go all day. Like, there was one of like one of the hospitals where I started, like the hospital where I grew up as a nurse, where I started. I mean, she was attacked in the parking lot of the hospital just a few weeks back. I mean, somebody like bashed her face in. Um, Not necessarily gun violence, but like she offered her purse and stuff, and they didn't want it. They just wanted to beat her up. So it's basically happening everywhere, and it doesn't have to be a gun. I mean, it's just repetitive attacks on healthcare workers, it feels like. I mean, this guy just used his fist.
Hmm.
Yeah. But what about the Florida woman?
No, I'm just, so like the girl, she was attacked by a patient, and it was they were there for like a psych hold. Do you know what I'm talking about? And then, of course, there was like the weird call by administration that what was it? Where they were like, this what's the thing called? What do they call it? The Riot Act,
Oh, the Baker Act.
the Baker
Yeah.
Act. So like they're like
That's a state specific.
it was kind of like I'm not worried about the nurse, which okay, maybe it's just a bad voice clip. but they're like, I'm not worried about the nurse right now. The nurse is probably going to die. I am worried about the Baker Act patient that that got out.
Yeah, so
So probably a bad clip.
probably a bad clip, but also like what?
But that is the
The
stuff.
nurse is probably
But
gonna
that, but when you think about it, like this is the stuff that staff feels. They feel like
yeah.
administration doesn't care.
Yeah,
So
I
I
do
don't think that we do a good job of one, conveying what administration is doing, and two, are they doing enough, right? So, there's always a communication problem.
Oh yeah.
People don't know what's going on with the organization. It's not communicated well, whether it's because you're not checking your email, maybe you don't, whatever.
Well, I mean,
But
it's not
what is my leadership team doing to protect me? That message isn't always getting out. And then when you see something
and the response is something like that.
This is just maybe a bad voice clip. Maybe it's the nurse is being taken care of right now. I don't know. But when you see something like, oh, I don't, I'm concerned about this patient that got out because it's like litigation. That's how it seems, right? Like I'm more concerned about this escape, and then saying, she's probably going to die. That's pretty weird and
I can't. I mean, you
kind of
can't
triggering.
even like. It's hard to come back from something like that. Like I can't imagine. I can't imagine thinking something like that, much less actually saying it. So for me, it's like
For sure on leave.
what?
That person's for sure on leave.
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah. So let's look at the numbers really quick. I mean, like, so just how bad is the situation? And I use that term loosely. How bad is it? But I do think the numbers, the statistics do show like overwhelming evidence that there is violence in healthcare. So it's just in general, healthcare workers are 5 times more likely to be assaulted than workers in any other profession. There's like 73% of all non-fatal workplace injuries from violence happen in healthcare. 73%. That's insane. So like
Say it again.
3 out of 4. No,
Put it down for me.
three out of 4 non-fatal workplace injuries from violence happen in healthcare. So, and then of course the one we know, because obviously we've been kind of rallying behind this on social media, but 1 in 4 nurses has been physically assaulted. I mean,
Yeah, I looked on the time frame. I feel like in my mind when I finish that sentence, I'm like in the last year.
yeah.
I think that you could actually make it more like within the last year.
I do feel like more than 1 in 4 have been assaulted, but also like
That's what's
my
reported.
background is from ED, so like violence against us is a little bit more prevalent, right? We do have a higher rate in the ED, but 1 in 4 just seems like too low to me. I don't know.
I mean, to be clear, it's too high of a number,
It's too high of a number.
but it seems like it's
Yeah,
falsely
I understand.
low. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
It seems falsely low.
okay.
Yes. Because I
feel like it's underreported, but it's definitely too high.
that's true.
Okay.
You're right. So here's another one. 26% of healthcare workers have considered quitting due to workplace violence. Yeah, I don't think I would really consider quitting very often.
I mean, gosh, I've been hurt, I can't get into my house, walk up steps,
Yeah.
that is, it's like, okay,
I feel
well, it wasn't
Yeah.
traumatic to me, my coping mechanisms, mentally, I'm like, okay, whatever, which maybe that's not healthy, right? But nurses are resilient.
Considering all the times that I've actually been assaulted physically, I've only been truly scared one time that I can remember. And I actually did press charges on this guy. He threw me against a wall and was holding me there. in a hallway. He followed me down a hallway, and
Did the organization pay for the lawyer?
well, I didn't have to get a lawyer.
What to press charges?
No, I pressed charges with the police department.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no.
So I know that some organization, like the organization we work for, will actually press charges and litigate.
Well, that was not.
I don't know if that's conveyed to staff. I mean, it's been told to staff, but I don't know how well they know it, right?
So I mean, this was in a different state, and I mean, the organization was supportive, but like, I don't think it was necessary for the organization to get involved. However, this person was only charged with a misdemeanor because in that state, that was what we could.
Which, like, is a stop, like running a stop sign a misdemeanor?
I mean, probably. I mean, I don't.
Like stealing a piece of
Yeah.
like 5-cent gum.
Yeah, I mean that's really something we need to talk about because like it's not where.
So like, but I mean, like, what
I
I'm
went to court,
interested
like,
in.
he testified, and then he didn't show up, so he basically was like automatically. I
So
don't know how that all works, but yeah.
so like, I am just interested in. I mean, I know that you say that it's in here, but like, I am very like stuck on the is the person in their right mind component and how you deal with that. Because if someone is not medically stable, like, and I need to treat, because we want to just say, all hospitals have this zero tolerance policy. We've got signage everywhere, zero tolerance, zero tolerance. We don't accept yelling, cussing, screaming, hitting, biting, throwing, whatever. But then if a patient is medically unstable, and what extent of unstableness, at what point can we not discharge, right? Because we say there's like this, we could discharge them.
Well, I mean, but yeah, you have to
I don't see this discharge process.
I mean,
and I don't see too many
great
people in
idea.
an acute care setting that can really be discharged without,
in any form of safety.
it being unsafe for them. So like,
well, and then
how do you prevent them from coming back to the organization? So yes, we can throw in aggressive, when the patient registers, where there's like a pop-up or whatever, like an alert. So I mean, there are like things that they can do. I wish it was clearer on, how to say like someone else has to manage this patient.
Right.
People that are specifically trained in like
in my
high
case,
intensity situations,
right.
padded rooms.
So in my situation,
Padded room acute care,
the guy was in like he came in because somebody brought him in because he was drunk, and that was it. So like, was he in his right mind? No, but it was just alcohol intoxication.
So I mean, he would be in real life. He would be charged for anything that he did.
So if he was driving
Related to
drunk, if he like assaulted anyone else out, like he would. I mean, he could like truly be charged with assault, manslaughter, whatever. But for throwing me against the wall and holding me against the wall, he was charged with a misdemeanor. Yeah. Does that seem fair?
I mean, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and that just goes, and that's our next point that I wanted to make is like legislation. So why?
But it's pushed, so I hear.
Yeah.
I haven't looked this up, but I mean, like when you're looking at like ANA and you're looking at all like this like legal day at the Capitol, like this is on our legislators' desk every single year.
It's there right now.
These bills are there every single year, and no one will sign them.
Well, and there's
Every year they've been there.
yeah.
Like I mean, we could probably find the last 20 years they've been there. Like, is it okay to hit a nurse in the face?
No.
And they won't sign that.
And they'll all say, no, we need to protect our healthcare workers, but you have to actually do something, right? But the thing is like what they have on their plate right now. So in the federal legislature right now, what's sitting on their desk is called the Workplace Violence Prevention Act. And all, I hate to call it weak, but I'm gonna be
I mean,
honest.
it's something.
So it's something.
Tell me what it is, but I
It
mean, I'll
requires
take anything.
hospitals. It requires hospitals to create a workplace violence prevention plan. Now, what
Oh,
hospital do you know of that doesn't
so
already
that's what it is.
have
It's
a
not.
workplace violence prevention?
No, they have a felony. They have a
Not
felony bill.
not as part of the legislation that's currently being disputed. So there's no enforcement, and there's no,
That's not enough for me.
I know, and there's no criminal penalties for attackers at the federal level. They leave it to the states, which I do
Joe,
understand.
it's left to the states, but
Yeah.
in Kentucky we have.
It's
Okay,
a Class D felony here in Kentucky. Class
okay,
D felony.
so we
Yes.
do have it.
Yes, we do have a Class D felony. So other state level, so California and Texas already have.
As of February 26, 2024.
Yes, it's recent
So I wonder how many years that took.
in Kentucky. So there's some other states that already are requiring these prevention plans. And let's be honest, like there are already prevention plans. Now, what does a prevention plan look like? It looks
It's
like
so weird to see that we're like ahead of people on stuff, like with like prescriptive rights for APRNs and like
right.
felony, like for this.
So that goes back to, I mean, honestly, let's think about this. So we've had Andy Beshear. Andy has, our governor here in Kentucky, Andy has already shown how much he supports nurses by supporting bills that advance APR and prescribing authority we were the first state. We've already discussed in a previous episode, we were the first state to protect healthcare workers, from criminal penalties in a time when we make a mistake that's not, in bad faith, right? So, no, here in Kentucky, we're doing big things, and I'm really proud of that. But I want to see more.
It's just interesting because we're always like the top five for like the bad statistics.
Yeah,
So I am very happy
being in
for the top one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or the bottom one, however you look at it. No, I love the state of Mississippi. Mississippi's like my mother. No one else can talk about her, but you know what I mean. So at other state level, there are other states that are already requiring prevention plans, namely California and Texas. But these prevention plans are basically only like requiring staff to be trained against workplace violence, which they already are. I mean, you've already taken training to prevent workplace violence.
I taught the classes at one point.
Right. So, I've never, in the time that I've worked in healthcare, I've never worked anywhere that did not make me go through some sort of a training that addresses workplace violence.
I mean, you do de-escalate well.
Well, I'm just it's a Southern accent.
I'm a
People
smooth
like it.
talker.
I'm a smooth talker.
Creep.
I just think these laws, it sounds like they're doing things, but they're not actually doing things. Like, requiring plans is like, oh, you're already doing this, but this makes us look good, so let's sign it. You know what I'm saying? Like, from a legislative standpoint.
So it is a felony. What'd you say, Class D felony? Class
Kentucky has
4 felony?
a Class D felony, yeah. So many states still treat attacks on nurses as misdemeanors, and I think that is just
I wanna know like some Class D felony examples.
okay. So, there's also no national standard for requiring hospital to report assaults, which I feel like I don't know necessarily like a database, but there should be like something like if X happens. What's another example of a Class D felony?
Well, it asked me if I need a lawyer when I Googled.
Do you?
No. Oh my
Okay.
gosh. So it looks bad at the beginning, and then when I see like the group and the range of them, I'm like,
So
theft of a motor vehicle.
theft less than $10,000. Okay. First offense of possession of a controlled substance. Fraudulently using a credit card over $1,000 but less than $10,000.
I don't feel worth a lot.
Yeah. So I keep seeing.
It says it does vary by state. I mean,
It does.
by state and jurisdiction, and I do see like domestic assault on here.
Yes.
I see involuntary manslaughter, aggravated assault. But when I see all this other stuff grouped in there, like
Burglary?
burglary.
Did you just have a stroke?
I can't say that word. I don't think. I don't know if I've ever said it out
It's
loud.
like bur.
I've done it. No, just burglary of a commercial property or theft of a motor vehicle. Those don't seem. I mean, like hurting an actual person versus hurting a building or like
Yeah.
taking somebody's mailbox. I don't know. Like it does seem maybe like it's not the same group.
Right. I mean, and I'm sure, I'm hopeful, I'm not a lawyer. You're not a lawyer. So I'm hopeful that if we looked into the details, like there, the severity of the attack would warrant an escalation in charges, right? So like if somebody's hospitalized for multiple days, if they're like unable to return to work and things like this, maybe like I'm hopeful that there's other forms of assault. Like this would just be one of the charges, right?
Oh, stalking, witness tampering, and criminal mischief,
Mm.
looting are
Loot.
examples of Class C felonies.
Well,
It does say 1 to 5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine.
well, that's better than most states. I mean, let's be honest. Like Kentucky is doing better than most states. Most states, a lot of states are still calling this a misdemeanor, right? So, um, and I want to talk about that. I mean, like, so the reality is this. So, and it's not just from a legal standpoint. So, yes, do we need stronger legal consequences? Absolutely. But
Which means we need what? Nurses to
report, right?
report, but also to, I mean, what? I mean, like, how many nurses are there? Isn't it like the largest profession?
I feel like the workforce volume is actually pretty
Okay,
significant,
so
right?
like
So,
they're so bad at like getting together and saying what it is that they need. Like, I mean, like
right,
it's a very large workforce.
right,
A lot of us have a lot to say. We're
right.
just not saying it to
The
the right
right,
people. We're saying it to like each other.
right.
Like when they have day at the Capitol,
Go.
we should be go. You go.
Oh, okay.
So you go.
I'm doing this. I have a podcast.
Okay, but
No, but you're right.
you can't
Yes, I
tell
need to
people
get
to do
on.
something that you haven't done yourself.
It also involves like, getting involved with your professional nursing organizations at the state level, at the local level, at the national level. Those are their voices. They are your voices for legislation in a lot of ways. But I think there's more to it. So like the reality is that, a patient punches a nurse. Frequently, we don't do anything. We don't press charges. They maybe get a warning. A visitor who, we haven't talked about this, but a visitor like will threaten somebody and they're still allowed to visit because we're afraid to say, oh no, you can't have any visitor. This person can't come back. And we don't police it, right?
I mean, I have no problem saying that.
I don't have a problem saying it either, but at the same time, like, is it?
I think some people don't realize that they can do it.
Yeah,
I think that the communication from shift to shift is maybe poor.
right.
They're like, oh yeah, whenever he's here, he always, acts out or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, you hear it like after this person is acting out.
Sure.
Um,
Like
it's like, okay, but we should have.
they've been doing it for a week.
And then also like, what's with like people just showing up in a room in the middle of the night? Like, that's weird. Like, why is the floor like not called
Right.
to say like, hey, I mean, like
I
we have a visitation policy. I mean, we're supposed to be screening visitors. We should be letting people know if someone new is coming into the building at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I think these are the things that organizations are
And
dealing with
also, I
that
feel like nurses
cause
think that
problems.
if they file a report, nothing's gonna happen. I mean, I think that's part of our culture is they feel like nothing.
Yeah, I mean, like
It's the
because
point.
you don't know the
You don't
follow up.
back in,
I mean,
yeah.
like it's fair.
Yeah,
But some of that follow up is private. But right, like if you're not seeing any immediate response, you're not seeing anything fixed to counter it. There are a lot of nurses that will say, I don't want to do it. I don't have time for it. It's just another thing. And it's, and with that is, yes, we're busy. Yes, we have long days. But if you don't care enough about it to report it,
I get it.
it,
But I think there's also,
that kind of sucks because, like you care enough to tell everybody. But like, that documentation is what's going to, if an organization has 300 documented assaults a month, they're going to have to fix it.
right.
If they have one,
It's
they don't know it's a
not even a blip
priority,
on the radar.
right? Like there's a lot of things that they're battling.
Well, I think we also have like this culture where like nurses or other healthcare workers feel like they are going to be in trouble. Like
For what?
what could you have done differently?
Oh, yes. The last time
Or
a
did you
patient
try? Yeah.
the last time a patient hit me, I honestly was like, or they're gonna be like, well, why didn't you call this earlier?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
he was getting antsy,
Yeah.
whatever.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Or maybe you shouldn't have provoked them. I mean, I hope nobody tells me that, but yeah, I mean, like, um, it does kind of feel like, I mean, I don't think that I've ever felt blamed when I was attacked, but I do feel like the culture is, oh, like somebody signed out AMA, or like we had to, call the police on somebody. It's like, well, how did this get started in the first place, Um, but so I think what we need is like, I mean, I realize that we rely on the states to pass laws about how we prosecute different things, but I feel like at some point we need to call on the states from a nationwide standpoint to say, hey, this needs to be a felony. Like, it's not acceptable for it to be anything less than a felony, right? I think there needs to be some sort of mandatory law enforcement involvement whenever someone, gets physical in a hospital setting. And, if you're in a non-emergent care setting, I think that violent patients in a non-emergent care setting maybe should be removed. I mean, if you're looking at
oh, it's
situations.
not emergent care.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. And then I do
You
feel
meet
like,
I mean, and I think even in emergent care, you meet the criteria of screening, and then if it can be fixed somewhere else,
yeah. And then, I mean, I do feel like these events, these violent events, like, should be required to be reported. I mean, I don't know what the policies look like at a hospital level. I don't know what the laws about reporting requires, but it seems like they are being underreported across the board.
You mean reported outside of the organization?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, I mean, and I realize that's
External accountability.
I mean, I think it needs to be externally accountable, whether it's like reporting to law enforcement, whether it's reporting to the credentialing body. I don't know what exactly it looks like, but I mean, there needs to be someone
Yeah,
following this data.
make that HCAPS.
I mean,
All
it could be.
the stuff we fix for HCAPS. Yeah, interesting, huh?
So I have another proposal too about hospital security. And I really dug pretty deep for this episode. So schools, courthouses, and airports, they're all gun free, right? That's just a policy everywhere. Like, you cannot go in a school. It's a federal law. You cannot go in a school with a gun.
I thought they were like giving teachers guns now and saying, just do your best. I thought that was our new plan on it.
I have not heard that. I mean, as far as I know, schools are considered gun free. I know courthouses are considered gun free. Of course, our airports are considered gun free.
Gun free.
Are they?
I went the other day. It's a gun free zone.
I don't think that's a nationwide, but I do feel like
Okay, but so we're saying a lot of places.
yes. But I
So
think
you know
from a
what?
federal
Let's bring you into an environment that's high stress, and it's okay to bring your gun.
I mean, yeah, I think hospitals need to be considered gun free. Like, I think at the federal level, if we can do that for schools and courthouses and airports, we can do that for hospitals. And I mean, I think we're seeing that advent of gun violence. I don't think we can call it like a what if scenario anymore. I think we can call it like this is happening. We have, enough data to say it's happening enough that we should be concerned, right? Um, I understand that hospitals resist like things like metal detectors because it feels so, you know, it sucks to have to go through a metal detector. Right?
That'll detect everyone.
I mean,
Staff.
that's what I'm
I
saying.
don't care.
Yeah, I mean the staff.
You know what? Then every day, I see that you have a commitment. I don't care if I've got to wait in line. You know what? Make it a marketing campaign. Literally every day, I see that you're doing something to protect me.
Yes.
I mean,
I love it.
I go for it. I mean,
I have worked in a place that metal detected every single person that came in.
I mean, I think that's the plan.
Even as level 1 trauma patients were rolling by on a stretcher, they grabbed that wand and wand
I think that is a thing.
because you don't know.
No, I mean, I think that's a thing.
Oh, I know it's a thing. I've seen it. Yeah. So, I just think that all hospitals should be designated as weapon-free zones, and I see metal detectors in the future. Let's go ahead and get on the cutting edge of the future. I think we should call on hospitals to now be like weapon-free and start working on putting those metal detectors in because that's a way to actively protect your staff, right? And then of course security personnel. Now that's one thing that I feel like our institution does really well. I'm really proud. I have a really close relationship with security. And they're very visible. They're very active. They're patrolling all the time, which you don't see that everywhere. I worked in places that you're like, oh, we have security here, but
gosh,
it's like that. So, that is something we do really well.
You need to, minimize entry points as well.
Oh yeah,
there are so many entry points to hospitals, and then to think about, let's say there's 20, 40, 70, who knows? Is security monitoring all those? Like, how many can you get it down to where security is actually being able to monitor
I think
the people coming into the organization?
there is a push to limit, especially at nighttime. There's a lot of limitation of access points, especially for visitors coming and going, patients coming and going.
We're locking down elevators, and
Yes.
you need badge access. There is effort for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. You're right. You can always do more as far as locking down,
But I feel like it should be like every single person coming through
Right.
the emergency department where there is
a lot of places are already
at
metal
least a
detecting.
wand. Yeah.
A lot of places are already metal detecting in the emergency department because they realize that is a point of entry for violent people from a patient standpoint, from a visitor standpoint. But then if you have all these other entrances outside the emergency department, which most places do, especially during the daytime, you don't have that security. So, as far as what you can do, we've talked about how we feel like Kentucky can really lead the way on this. Kentucky's already leading the way. We've listed multiple things. So that's where, Luke and I are living and working currently. And we're really proud of what Kentucky's legislature and Governor Andy Beshear already does to protect healthcare workers. And I think this is just another way for Kentucky to really stand up for nurses is be even more proactive to prevent workplace violence. So I would love to see us continue to lead the way in that. But then also, we have states where, like we said, they are misdemeanor offenses. They're not even felony offenses. So, what can you do in your state or in your country? Look at Australia. They're having issues there as well. And I'm sure there are many other countries that are having this issue. A lot of westernized nations are having this issue as well, because that's primarily where you're seeing this violence occur.
I'm interested. I feel like they're actually reporting true numbers.
They may be.
Yeah.
They may
I
be.
feel like they haven't normalized it like American culture has.
I mean, it's also like socialized medicine. So a lot of your hospitals, most of your healthcare facilities are already government agencies. So that probably structures very differently. So, I have to say, like, you need to be advocating for stronger laws in your state. Getting involved, like we said, with your state level, also the federal level, even your local level, professional organizations, speak up. Like we cannot continue to have this culture where we are allowing ourselves, our coworkers, our patients to not be safe in that environment because, in most of these cases, well, not probably about half of these cases, like somebody came in from outside and were not actually a patient whenever the violence occurred. So you got to think about, like, you got to keep your patients safe too. So it's like kind of easy to look at it from that perspective because we're already used to keeping our patients safe. But you have to speak up for yourselves, to speak up for the nurse standing next to you, from the PCA that's charting next to you, from the RT that's going to come see your patients in a little while. You have to speak up for each other, right? Report violence. Like, you need to be vocal when something happens to you. I mean, if that means filing a police report, if it means, like, obviously you're going to go through your facilities reporting policy, but make sure it's
not just vocal, not just telling people that
everybody.
Yeah.
Like, make it documented.
Wow.
And like, share your stories. Like, we want to amplify this conversation. I think if more of us are talking about it, like, we're active on social media, right? But it's not enough. Social media is not enough. It's not really action. Pressing that button to share to the next person is not enough. You need to be calling your legislatures, calling all of the officials in your area and saying, like, hey, this happened to me. Hey, I got punched one time. Hey, I get called ugly things at work all the time. And we can laugh about it, like, I mean, one time I've been called a she-devil. I've been called a lot of weird things, and we laugh about it. It's funny, but at the same time, it's like, well, they really meant, emotional harm when they were calling me these things. So it's like, is it really okay? It's really not okay, because if you allow verbal abuse to occur, the new grad that is going to come on the next shift, who is 22 years old and doesn't know how to stand up for herself yet, is also going to endure that abuse. And they're looking to us as experienced nurses to step up, right? But also, new grads, you're not a punching bag. You're not a doormat. You're not someone who should be subjecting themselves to abuse day in and day out. We all have a right to go into work and do our job without being subjected to abuse. So, like I said, speak up, please. I know not everybody has a podcast that they can, vent to or share their voice. But you can reach out to us on social media. I would love to tell your story. And like I said, please, 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 please call your legislatures, call your local representatives, right? So, anything for you, sir?
My gosh.
I mean, I feel like it needed to be talked about, right? I mean, just like, we can't let all these stories just go undiscussed, right? So that's it for us. I will say, hey, check out our merch store, support us. If you want to be a part of supporting the podcast so we can keep this going, please check out the merch store, codebrewpodcast.myshopify.com. And the proceeds that we make, it all goes towards, like, keeping the podcast going. We're not making any money off of this by any means. So And we want to talk to you more about healthcare worker safety or whatever stories you have. Reach out to us. We have an email address, codebrewpodcast@gmail.com. And we're on multiple social media. We have a LinkedIn now, by the way.
Oh, fancy.
Doesn't that feel fancy?
Is it getting job offers?
I feel so. No, there's no job offers, but it does feel like kind of like.
Does it have a premium profile?
I feel no, it doesn't have a premium profile, but it does feel very professional. So, as always, y'all, stay caffeinated, stay curious, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
Love it.
On Code Brew. Bye.
Bye, everybody.